Hello and welcome to SpaceEngine Exploration. So, 8,000 subscribers. That is absolutely amazing. Phenomenal. Not something I would have expected at the start of this channel at all. I didn't even really expect 1,000. I was just uploading videos that, really just came to mind. Things I enjoyed, and it turned into this. And I explain this every time I hit a milestone, but 8,000, that is not a small number. 8,000 people, that is a lot of people. So, as you can see, I am at the Cat's Eye Nebula, but it looks a little bit different. But what's so different about it? Well, I'm actually running a couple of mods, a custom nebulas mod, which I featured in a previous video, and Rodrigo's texture and terrain mod. I decided to change it up a little bit, load a couple mods to hopefully enhance the game a little bit. I've done some checking and it looks like custom planet suggestions still work perfectly fine without any interruption. But they are going to look a little bit different than when you suggested them to me on your view. Unless you download the mods in the description and get an idea of what I'm looking at. I've also reinstalled the game to hopefully fix whatever issues it might have. These are my current video settings, which are incredibly similar to what I typically run. For performance reasons, to hopefully maintain a good 30 FPS in the video without dipping below 30. So, let's see. Looks like Carina Nebula is perfectly fine. And the solar system, let's hit Shift H a couple of times. There it is, right over here. There's the sun. And what we are looking for is the Orion Nebula. I don't know if the Orion Nebula was changed at all. I know Orion Nebula gives me a nice low frame rate when I fly inside it, so I'm gonna avoid doing that. But somewhere nearby, I'm not quite sure exactly where it is here. There is a nebula. Have to go ahead and type it in because it's not quite rendering until we get really close to it. But it's somewhere in this general area, if I'm correct. It's a little red nebula, just like that one right there, in fact. But that's not the one I'm looking for, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and type it in. The Red Rectangle Nebula, which is close to the Orion Nebula. Normally this is a rectangular shape, and has kind of a diamond look to it, but this mod makes it more of a tube shape than a square shape, like the nebulas typically render in this game, which is pretty cool. And in the center there is a star that's literally just called Red Rectangle. I assume it's the cause of this giant nebulous plume. And it is a blue main sequence star. This suggestion is posted by Oshi Jack. There's not really too much to observe here. The star itself has its own randomly generated system, but there's not really too much more to the suggestion. So, there you go. That is the Red Rectangular Nebula, right next to Barnard's Loop, which is right there. And if I flew a little bit past the center section of Barnard's Loop, I would have probably found it. But look at how tiny it is. It just looks like a star up until you get really close to it. So, it's a tiny little nebula. So, this next suggestion I have is right here on Earth, and it is from, let's see, the Gingerbread Channel. And they say, can you go to Mount Everest in SpaceEngine? Mount Everest would be roughly in this general area next to India, in Nepal. Let's go ahead and disable the clouds. It would probably be on this mountain range. I assume right about here is Mount Everest. Unfortunately in this game though, Earth is just a texture and doesn't really have much detail. But Mount Everest would be in this general area right here. Probably one of these incredibly stretched out large pixels. So unfortunately I cannot really go to Mount Everest, but it should be right about here if I'm correct. I am definitely looking at a reference on Google Earth right now, but, I wasn't going to be able to guess based off this texture anyways. But, judging by the terrain, it looks like it would be right here roughly. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion. This next one is from Planetary Brother Yay. And here it is rendering in. This will give you guys an initial look at what this terrain mod does. So there's no description, there is a second suggestion, but I will only visit the first one since I only do one suggestion per user. And let's go ahead and fly in, so I can show you guys what this terrain mod does. Look at this river. The riverbank looks incredibly different. It carves itself into mountains now, and has a lot of terrain generated around it, giving it a really cool appearance. Now this planet has some blood red water, it's a warm terra with life. Marine and terrestrial, as you can see there's the plant life and some winded sand it looks like. I don't think the textures are really changed, it's just the, I guess, algorithm that generates the terrain. I was looking for texture mods, but I couldn't really find any good ones. These, like, rolling hills plateauing down into the riverbed now, instead of the river just cutting directly through the terrain, so it's really cool looking. Let's go ahead and go to the nighttime side of the planet and check out some of these mountains, see if the mountain ranges generate a little bit differently. It's kind of hard to tell. It looks like there's a little bit more like bump to them though, but that could just be the parameters for this planet, I'm not really too sure. I've only looked at this mod for a quick minute really. Let's get this all to render in. Try not to fly too fast. Noticing a lot of tiling with these textures here. Definitely a lot of tiling going on. And the mountains, I want to say they do look different, but it's really hard to tell. I noticed that the biomes are kind of larger. There's kind of less mountains in general per like biome area, I guess you would say. So that is pretty cool. Because one thing that was kind of a problem is like the rounded hill, like mountain, the rounded one that I occasionally see, it would generate in such a high frequency that it would just look very odd. Another thing this mod does is it changes the way the clouds generate as well. They will be kind of more frequent. Hurricanes are not as common. You'll still see like the cyclone effect, but it won't be quite a hurricane. So it kind of removes hurricanes as an odd side effect. But the cloud layer on this planet is pretty weird and it's clipping through a lot of the terrain. I don't know if that's a side effect of the mod or if that is just this planet having a low cloud layer. We'll find out in the next couple suggestions. This next suggestion is from Henry Pretorius. It's a star. The star has two terras with organic multicellular life, marine and terrestrial. So let's go ahead and bring this up. And which one should we go to? I'm kind of liking this one on the right. It has a nice blue color to it, so we'll go for this one. Okay, so this one has a very high frequency of clouds. The circle effect is normal. That always happened. That's not a side effect of the mod, that's just SpaceEngine itself. I do have the loading speed and terrain quality pretty low at the moment, so it's going to be a lot of popping in and all that. Okay, so we got some purple life. The texture does not appear to be any different than it usually is. Let's go ahead and fly around and try to find some terrain. There's some right there. Or some varying terrain, I guess. And the cloud layer seems perfectly fine, altitude-wise, on this planet. Okay. I want to say that's a different sand texture, but I could be completely wrong about that. Vanilla textures all around, it looks like, so I assume that sand is probably vanilla texture as well. Not getting lens flare on the planet. Go ahead and make sure that our diffraction spikes are correct. Well, interesting. It's not because I have MSA on. Nope. Not sure why that is. Let's go ahead and close this menu. And let's fly around and look at this planet a little bit. The atmospheric pressure is 5.3 atmosphere, so 5 times the atmospheric pressure that we experience here on Earth. The surface temperature is about 20 degrees Celsius, so a little bit warmer than it is on Earth on average. I would make a guess saying it's probably the 2 stars up there. Got another really cool looking riverbed, even though it does seem to divide the river up a lot and cause like little pocket areas like this very frequently. It still looks a lot cooler than the vanilla ones. Now if it wasn't so messy and generated so many little bays and little nooks like that, hey, it's something that should really be added to the game as kind of a vanilla thing. That would be very cool. Let's say the terrain is a lot bumpier and has like a lot more of these little bumps and pivots inside the mountainsides. It doesn't look as smooth. And that could just be this type of mountain. And it looks like, I think it does that to make the texture kind of pop up a little bit more on the mountains, perhaps? I don't know, there seems to be like a lot of noise in the terrain generation. Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and zoom out here. It looks like we are in a globular cluster, I would guess. Let's see. So, very cool. Let's land right here. Not much view of the night sky. I guess those stars are not our primary stars. The primary one's going to be off in this direction, so if I land right here, does the star have lens flare? Oh, it does. Okay, so that's not an issue. I was just looking at those distant stars, kind of curious where the lens flare and diffraction spikes were. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. So this next one is from the Redstone Hive. He wants me to go to Betelgeuse Point 4, which is the 4th planet from Betelgeuse. It is completely randomly generated, so... Let's see... This is the planet. It's a moon. That's interesting. What's going on with the terrain here? Oh, okay, so it's just a lot of craters at a very high frequency. I mean, look at this. Kind of interesting looking terrain, to say the least. A little tiny moon orbiting not very far from the surface. How is that stable? That's got to be moving very quickly. Yeah, it's got to be moving very, very quickly to be orbiting that moon like that. Like, look at that. Almost like throw a rock at it. Jeez. I know it's much bigger than that, and I'm kind of underestimating the scale of it, but look at how close that is. It's right there. What's the size of this moon? It is diameter of 3,990 kilometers. That's a pretty big rock right there. Interesting. Can I see like the orbital velocity? I don't think I actually can. The diameter of this is 117 kilometers. Massive. It's got a little volcano here, poorly generated, just kind of like a little molten crater it looks like. And when you're on the surface, there's like a lot of smaller craters. In fact, as an exception, let's go ahead and turn up the level of detail a little bit. Just so we can get an idea of what this looks like. As you get closer, there's like a lot of littler rounded bumps. Betelgeuse right there. A dying star. And yeah, this terrain mod makes these moon-like planets look very cool. These Selenas. However, this effect going on with the terrain's a little bit weird. That could just be because I'm looking at it like at an angle from the star, so there's like a lot of shading. Well, that's pretty interesting. Let's go ahead and drop the terrain quality down before I start crashing the game like crazy. Let's bring that back to 1.0, negative 1.0 rather. This next one is from Saiwan. It's a cool golden planet, apparently. Okay. And we're in a galaxy next to a three-way galactic collision. I've seen that galaxy before. Let's go ahead and touch down on the surface. This is a warm Terra. I don't know if there's ocean. I have not seen ocean so far. That might be ocean. I don't think that really counts as a Terra if there's only a little tiny pocket of water, but I could be wrong. A little tiny pocket of water. It has a very, very thin atmosphere, a surface temperature of 77 degrees Celsius, so a very warm planet, and it is currently orbiting around very close to an orange dwarf, a very active star. So I can only assume that this planet is having its atmosphere and ocean stripped away. And is this tidally locked? I don't really know. It is tidally locked, okay. So is this what the tidally locked storms look like now? That's very interesting. I mean, it's kind of cool. It doesn't cover the entire surface of the planet, but that's interesting. I don't know if I'm going to keep these mods loaded. I'm just kind of messing with them right now. There's no reason not to be honest, but yeah, that's an interesting way to generate the clouds. I mean, it's like it is like the tidally locked storm. It has multiple layers and stuff, but I think it's just kind of neat that it lets you see the entire planet, but it is clipping through a lot of those mountains. You don't usually get to see. Alright, so let's go ahead and pause the game and move on to the next one. Alright, so this next one's from Vibrative. It is a cold titan with life, it looks like. Subglacial, so we won't be able to see it. And IC 1101? No? It's a galactic collision between an elliptical type galaxy and a spiral type galaxy. And there's another spiral type galaxy right over there. Let it go. There it is. Interesting. Let's go ahead and land right here on the surface and get an idea of what Titans look like with this terrain mod. Now this is a very popular terrain mod, I'm aware. I've had it suggested to me multiple times. Decided to go take a look at the Space Engine forum and see what mods that were really there to offer. I figured some cool graphic mods would be kind of nice. Something that could replace the textures, not with like some really meh looking unrealistic textures, but something that can redo the textures so we don't have just like the sedimentary rock that we've seen every single time. Maybe even up the resolution of that or something, add a little bit more cool details to it. I don't know. Something like that. I think this is a dual planetary system. That or that's just a really cool looking moon. Nope, I am leaning towards dual planetary system with this one. That is in fact what that is. Let's go ahead and check out its dark contrast other, which is also a Titan it looks like, or it could be an ice ball. Nope, it's a Titan. It's got that rusty red color there as well. And you can see the other Titan there, but the sky is very weird. That is the clouds color. There's some auroras. I don't know if they generate any differently. They don't really appear to. I'm hoping that my keyboard is not being picked up into the microphone too much. I've redone a lot of my audio setup. I'm always constantly messing with it, but you know, I really hope that everything is just absolutely perfect with the audio setup. And that is way too much to wish for, so we'll see what problems occur in the editing process of this video. Okay, so we got like a reddish color here with these cliffs. Let's go ahead and turn off real planet brightness. Okay, now we can see it in better detail. We got some weird colors going on, like this light blue, the green, pinks. And this just really iron-rich looking mineral rock surface here. It looks like a mineral, like it's like a crystal structure, but I don't think so. It might just be some really weird looking pink ice, I guess. Very cool. This next one is from first name, last name. It's an awesome ring tarot with life. Also, thanks for using my crescent-shaped desert moon as the thumbnail of the previous video. And in case you were wondering, oxygen gas giants exist. Okay. Well, everything in the game I think is just helium and hydrogen, so that's kind of unfortunate. It'd be cool to get some crazier colors and different material gas giants and stuff in the game, because there just doesn't really seem to be enough of them. Just completely hypothetical, unrealistic looking gas giants. I haven't found very many of them. You got like your pink ones, and I'm talking like some weird green and black and just really, really exotic looking colors and stuff for a planetary body. I think that would be pretty cool. So it looks like we have two stars here. We have our main star, which is a yellow dwarf, and then we have this out here, which is a red dwarf. Rings. Let's go ahead and fly around and see what else we can find. The clouds are generating below the surface of the terrain. I think that might just be a side effect of the mod. I've seen it in vanilla worlds, but it seems to be happening more commonly with this mod loaded. For the sunset areas, it really does make a really cool view though, when you're viewing it from the sky anyways. But once you get close, it looks a little bit off-putting, I guess you would say. A little bit too spiky. And it seems like you really miss out on the erosion effect, which I'm noticing is kind of missing as well. Everything just seems too jagged and there's little pits everywhere. I think that's kind of the flaw with this mod, is it's not very natural looking. It does add some really cool things like the riverbeds, but that's about it. Got the aurora here, a beautiful moon, which is an ice world, I think. No, it's actually a Selena. Let's go and fly over to it. Looks like an ice world because it has like all those different shades on it. And let's see if this one generated the same way as the other Selena with all the little pits and stuff in the craters. It did, but I want to say it's not as bad as the other one. It's not as jagged and weird looking. This looks a little bit more like a natural Selena. Right, we got a really cool detail, and look at that. Are we eclipsing the planet right there? No, I don't think so. But you got a nice view of this planet, so very cool. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the next one. This next one's from Hurrah Vasir Rex, and it's a star. Orbiting the star? There is one planet with life, so we'll go hang out next to there and look at the star, because I think this one is all about that star. So this star right here is apparently an infrared excess has been detected around the star, and is a good candidate for close alien technological civilization. For a close alien technological civilization. Ah, man, I'm really just hanging on that word there. Which is, I guess, kind of funny considering there's a planet with life right here. Marine and terrestrial. Interesting, but it is tidally locked apparently. So here's the tidally locked storm again. Let's go ahead and change the planet brightness here to something a little bit more dim. Still incredibly bright. What we can do is we can go ahead and just drop the exposure slightly. So this is tidally locked. It says 1-1 right there. Is it tidally locked with another planet? No. A crazy storm. Let's hit play and see what happens. I guess that's the tidally locked effect right there. That is really different looking. I guess that would be the eye of the storm right there. Let's go ahead and halt the game real quick. This is the eye of the storm, which will be facing directly at the star there. And whoa, look at that. That is very cool looking. That's something I don't think you usually get to see with the vanilla version of the game. Is it because I'm underwater? Is that what's going on? No, I don't know. Why is it so dark right here? It's until you pop right at that little level right there, and then it's just brighter and a little bit more boring. Still some cool colors, but not as cool. I think we might be underwater. Is that all water? Did I turn off water at some point? I did. When did I turn off water? Well then. So here's the planet. Much cooler looking with the water. Okay, so I think I have everything enabled now. I guess that makes sense. On Vibrative's suggestion, I was not seeing rivers. So yeah, that does make sense. Well, I was seeing the rivers, but I wasn't seeing the water down in them. I was assuming the train was generating over the water or something. Let's go back to Vibrative's suggestion real quick. Okay, so there's some water, and then the other planet here. The one I wasn't seeing water on. At some point I messed up and accidentally disabled the water, but there it is. All shiny and glorious looking. Really purple, and that one's really blue. It's dark evil twin. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion. This next one is from Derpsauce Gaming. It is a 7.1 billion year old planet with rings. Rings? Oh, I need to correct the exposure. There we go. Wow, that is incredibly bright. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay, that dimmed it down a little bit. Okay, so it's a 7.1 year old planet with rings, a huge moon, and at the edge of a spiral galaxy, about a degree bigger in the sky than the moon. Okay. Let's see. So here's this lovely bright planet, very bright planet. Let's go ahead and touch down right here on the coast, because I'm curious what color that water is. Okay, so the atmosphere has a reddish color and is a dark blue. Okay, no, it's actually a pretty bright blue. It's just the rings were throwing me off there. Multiple cloud layers. And there's the moon. Now, what were you saying? Okay, so there's the moon. I saw it for a moment there. Maybe it's on the other side of the planet. Is that it? I don't think that's the one. There was a bigger one. There it is. Okay, so there's the spiral galaxy. Let's go and touch down right here at the pole. There's the moon. Galaxy. Moon. I would say they're about the same size. So is that what you're trying to say? Let's go ahead and zoom in and get a look at that spiral galaxy right there. Alright, so we're still on Derpsauce Gaming suggestion. I just had to step away for a moment. So let's go ahead and fly down under this cloud layer, which is a lot different looking, I have to say. Very bumpy. So it's turning blue as we go down. I think that's the color of the sunset. And look at this ocean. It's got a really dark blue shine to it. It's so weird. Just keep flying until we find land. It is a terror. We should be able to find land. It just appears to keep being ocean. Let's go ahead and... Okay, so the land is pretty uncommon on this planet. Let's touch down right here. get an idea of what this blue sunset looks like. There's the galaxy in the background, and it's a very bright moon. So that moon is probably what's illuminating us right now. And the reason why we can somewhat see. As we go to the daytime side, we should be able to land. Let's land at the fork of this river right here. So we got this kind of pinkish salmon color atmosphere. I guess this is an example of what the erosion effect looks like now, which is pretty cool looking. So I guess the other planets just really didn't have a defined erosion effect. This one does. Look at this. That's pretty cool. I'm not gonna say it's realistic, but it's really nice and detailed. Gives it a really cool looking appearance, I guess. It's like a S shape as it goes down. Different kind of erosion on both sides. Like that one's inverted from that. This has like bumps and this has like indents. That's weird. Very neat suggestion. Let's go ahead and zoom out and get an idea of what the galaxies are looking like around here. Because we obviously have a few of them in the sky. Got the main spiral galaxy, which is a really nice texture as well. There in the sky. We have another galaxy. But it looks like I'm about to lag out the game and possibly crash it if I keep spinning around like this. Ah, there it is. So this is the one that was in the sky. M58, it is cataloged. There it is. Which is very cool. You can see the two arms spanning out right there, and then like right here, and then you can see the bar in the center. This is not a normal galaxy texture. This one looks like it's specific to this galaxy. Very neat. I haven't seen a black hole yet in the video though, so let's go ahead and zoom into the black hole here. As they appear to be. Of course, this is a galactic center, so it's a supermassive black hole. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. This next one is from Nathan Universe, the Space Nerd, as his name says. Well, this is the strangest thing I've ever seen. Galaxy crossed out? What's strange about it? I don't know what's really strange about this galaxy other than it uses that texture that looks like a cheap speaker driver. Texture looks like. But I'm not really too sure what the of this is. I don't really know what type of galaxy this is. SA. Assume it's some kind of spiral type because, well, it looks like a spiral type, but it's just... Yeah, this galaxy texture has always been a little bit odd, if that's what you're trying to say. The edge and look at the center, it's still pretty bright. These clouds don't really block it out that much. So, yeah, I don't really know what to do with this suggestion, to be honest, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and move on to the next one. This next one is from Ascended Ball, and it's in a galactic collision. That's a kind of familiar looking galactic collision if I were to guess. It is... okay, so let's read this. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in the system. Way too much for you to check out in one video, so please choose which planet you would like to visit. A4, a gas giant with a Terra and a temperate pink desert orbiting it. B5, a binary planetary system of a scorched Oceania. Okay, I'm gonna skip the Oceania, they're kind of boring. And an ice giant. A gas giant with a huge scorched desert and a Terra around it. And B8, a Titan with green rings. I think what I'm going to choose is B7, so let's see if we can get that up. B7. Here's the gas giant. Okay, so is this generating differently? Are we going to have even bumpier clouds? It's really only one way to find out. It's looking basically the same. Very bumpy clouds, definitely, but, yeah, I don't think there's really anything different going on here. The atmosphere seems to be above the cloud layer, though. That's not supposed to be happening. Interesting. Oh, look at that. I have to say this desert's probably in the Roche limit. That is very cool. This is a scorched desert you're talking about. Okay, so we have the sun shining on this side. We're under the cloud layer, and there's the terrain. We can kind of, we were able to fly through there and see the center of the planet. And I don't think we've been to a desert really in this video yet, so is this terrain any different? Can't really tell, it's hard to see as well. Atmospheric composition. Water, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. That is like optimal greenhouse. Yeah, it's optimal greenhouse effect right there. It has a surface temperature of 584 degrees. Not the hottest I've seen, but still incredibly warm by no stretch of the imagination. Let's go and turn off the clouds. It looks like the clouds are mostly what's doing it. It doesn't look to be actually just pure lava. It just looks like really heated clouds. Let's turn off the atmosphere. There we go. I don't know if the atmosphere kind of darkens it a little bit. And has a surface pressure of 379, so very, very, very strong surface pressure. I don't think we're that far from the star. We're at a semi-major axis of... oh. I don't think I have the right star selected. Is it? We have that star selected, right? Okay, distance of 5 astronomical units. I was incredibly misreading something there. And let's zoom out. There is the gas giant. Now we have this little blue marble right here, a temperate Terra. With a dark blue appearance. That's because of the ocean. The terrain itself is what appears to be also a blue color, but has like a purple atmosphere, so it gives it a purplish color. Okay. Some kind of bright blue water. And not too much going on here. Do the polar caps generate any differently with this terrain mod? I'll try to move my keyboard a little bit further away from the microphone so it doesn't clack as much. I want to say it looks a little bit different. A little bit more bumpy, as everything seems to be with this mod. Still very shiny though. Oh, look at that. The snow fades off. It's not like a huge distinctive cliff. Does this terrain mod... oh, that's cool. The caps actually plateau into the terrain. They don't just, like, spike up randomly. Well, that's very nice. Hopefully, in the next update of SpaceEngine, that's going to be corrected. Because it'd be cool to have basically this. The way it just fades back off into the normal terrain. Very cool. Look at that glowing molten ball up there. This is a very cool system. Alright, so let's move on to the next one. This next one is from Jonathan888. It is a Terra orbiting a white dwarf. It's very blue. It's very non-existent, it looks like. Looks like a Plan Nemo. Has life on it. Something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. Dwarf. What is going on with this Terra? I'm gonna reload the game. So I'm back in the game and it's still very dark. I don't know what's going on there, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn off real planet brightness. No, it's still very dark. I guess that white dwarf's just not casting a lot of light on this. I assume the thing that he's mentioning is very blue is the white dwarf, but you can see a volcano here. What is going on with this world? Well, let's turn up the ambient. Okay. A little blue marble. It's not completely frozen over, so it's still giving it a lot of energy. It's just not casting a lot of light. I don't know, that seems kind of strange to me. We're not going to see any life on it. It is a marine-only planet. So let's go ahead and default this, and let's check out the white dwarf over here. And here is the white dwarf. Look at that, it's making that gas giant over there glow. A really cool blue. It looks almost like Neptune. Give it a moment to render the textures. I'll get rid of that gridding effect. There it goes. Very cool looking, and it's very nice looking with this lens flare. I did a video on pulsars earlier, and or pulsars colliding, I guess neutron stars. Got a few facts wrong, but oh well. It was kind of an unscripted, impromptu video. Something to kind of break away from that break I've been taking for like the past 2 weeks. And for those who are not aware, I've been taking a break for the past 2 weeks. That's why this episode is pretty late, and why I haven't really been uploading much content. I'm still kind of on that break, but I did want to get some videos out. I do still have a lot of things to catch up on in real life, but yeah, things are going smoothly. Looks like we're in the Milky Way galaxy as well. Is this a cataloged white dwarf? No, it's randomly generated. Well, let's go ahead and move on to the next suggestion. Alright, here we go. This next suggestion is from Andromeda, which, judging by what I just flew through, we're gonna have a pretty crazy looking sky. So we have this desert here, with rustic red clouds, I guess orangish color. Got some large, visible rings. Let's go ahead and see these polar caps again, because that was really cool. Yeah, that's something I've never seen in the game. It's just that transition to polar caps like that. And you can just see there's galaxies everywhere. We're in like a 4-way galactic collision, it looks like. Very neat, and it looks like there's our host gas giant. Oh, let's touch down right here. Look at these textures. This is the polar cap now for the deserts. Alright, that's one thing I'm going to say is really cool with this mod as well. The riverbeds and the polar caps. They're done so much better than the vanilla version. Very neat. What's going on here? We got a crater, it looks like. We got the polar cap sitting in the crater. That's not normal. You can even see it has an effect all the way over to there. Very neat. And if we go over here, we have a volcano. Volcanoes seem to still be pretty much vanilla. There's the large rings. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Oh, I didn't even notice that. What is that? Is that a nebula? That is a nebula. Couldn't even see the nebula. Okay. We're at the edge of a nebula in a galaxy. Those two galaxies. Okay. And that galaxy over there is just looking that way. I think we were at this galaxy earlier looking at those ones, if I'm correct. I've seen this galaxy collision before. But, really neat view, and I didn't even notice that nebula until I zoomed out of the planet. Music shouldn't be overpowering my voice. I'm currently looking at it in OBS, and it looks like my voice is louder than the music itself, so I'm hoping that's fine. This next one is from Namikaze. And terraform this planet. I can't do that. In fact, it's Oceania. Yeah, I don't even think I can terraform it. I'd have to change it to a Terra, and I don't really know how to do any of that in the editor. I've only used the editor like once, and I have a video on that. It was a horrible video, but I made a pretty cool looking planet. IMHO. Let's take a look at these clouds. Let's get them to render a little bit more. Very cool looking. The new clouds are definitely pretty cool looking. Look at how bumpy that is. Very neat. If you've ever been on a plane, it's kind of like that when you're flying through. Like, a few areas are much taller than... it's not just perfectly like level at the top of the cloud layer. It varies based on like the atmospheric pressure and all that kind of stuff, and temperature and whatever. So yeah, it's not consistent across the entire planet. So when you're actually flying like above the cloud layer in a plane, just like breaching out of it, you can kind of see like all these bumps. You'll see like a cumulus cloud tower like over there or whatever. Well, I mean, it's obviously random, but it's a pretty cool effect. So yeah, I don't know how many of my viewers have been on plane rides, but that's something you see. And we got a bunch of moons here. Selena. That one's a Selena. And these are probably meteors. Or asteroids, rather. Yep, they certainly are. Let's go to the Selena and see how this generated. Very cool looking. Looks almost like a snowball. Alright, that's a cool looking crater. It's not very smooth on the edges. It really dips down. It's got that bumpy effect, which, come to think of it, I think the vanilla craters do too. Or vanilla Selenas, I guess. Nothing crazy going on with that, that's still just a texture. Alright, let's move on to the next one. This next one is from Spudtato. This sexy desert moon is located in the center of the Milky Way and has a polar orbit with its parent gas giant. It has an atmospheric pressure of 26, so 26 atmospheres of pressure, 26 times that of Earth, and changes from cool to temperate throughout its orbit. Its parent gas giant, also the third planet in the system, evolved life on it. Okay, this one doesn't have life. So it's orbiting around a gas giant, and the gas giant has... no. Okay. Let's go ahead and zoom out here. Why does the temperature fluctuate? I could assume it's either orbiting, it's because it's orbiting the gas giant, or the gas giant might have an elliptical orbit, which nothing seems to really have in this game. That's pretty stable, honestly. So I could only assume that the temperature fluctuation is because it is orbiting its parent gas giant, and it's also orbiting it pretty far in a polar orbit. Whoa, flew into the gas giant. You can see that black hole in the center of it, apparently. So the clouds still look pretty standard on the gas giants. It looks like nothing's really changed. Other than the cloud layer still seems to be below the atmospheric layer. So... I don't know. Did you want me to visit this planet with life? We can go over there. Go ahead and disable the orbit map. And we got a planet with life and faint rings. Go ahead and zoom in here. Pretty standard looking planet so far. Looks like a very dry Selena. Let's go to the ocean. There we go. Looks like it might have some green water. I assume that's all that crazy, Whoa, that is... That is like a slimy ocean. It's just very, very vibrant green. Like incredibly vibrant green. Got like an ocean of Mountain Dew. Okay. No polar caps from what I can see, unless these are the polar caps. No, it's not snow. It's a bunch of dry rock. It's a very dry looking Selena. The temperature is 57 degrees Celsius. Well. Okay. I'm not really seeing the terrestrial life on it though, unless that's it. Yeah, that's it. It has like an orange life on it. Very dry looking. It's like this entire planet is just a big savanna. Texture there and some other life textures. Okay, so that is the life. It's just a orange color. Okay, so this next one is from Deburo, or Decburo. Not sure how they want their name pronounced, and it is a hell planet. Let's see. No description, but look at this. That looks cool. That's why. It's orbiting a red supergiant with a mass of 3,000 solar masses, or 300 I mean, and a diameter of 83 astronomical units, so that's like the size of our solar system. That is the distance between Earth and, or the Sun and Pluto, I think 3 times. Almost 3 times, so very, 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 very big star. That would consume basically our solar system if it sat in the center of it. It'd make my UI Skatai videos, or Scooty videos, look like a joke in Universe Sandbox 2. Especially with how massive that is, but I assume that mass is just completely invalid. So what's going on with the water here? This looks like oil. It's very dark. And I assume this is a Terra? Yeah, it's a warm Terra, 56 degrees Celsius. Very cool appearance. It's been a while since I've seen a black and red planet like this, but definitely a welcomed addition to the SpaceEngine Exploration series. So I think on that note, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. If you guys liked the video, please subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you in the next video.